Part 3 of Sold to the Mafia Boss. The encrypted message arrived at 3:47 a.m., and Isabella knew before opening it that their world was about to burn. She sat in the dim light of their penthouse office, Yoon-suk's hand warm on her shoulder as the file loaded. What appeared on screen made her blood run cold, not from fear, but from the surgical precision of the threat. Cole had been busy, very busy. Photographs filled the monitor. Dimitri's wife Elena dropping their twins off at school, the children's faces pixelated but their location crystal clear. Alexandre's 16-year-old daughter Marie leaving her piano lesson, her schedule documented down to the minute. The faces of every lieutenant, every trusted soldier, every person they'd ever protected, all cataloged with addresses, routines, vulnerabilities. Isabella's throat tightened as she scrolled through image after image. Their entire organization, their family, laid bare like specimens under glass. "How long has he been watching?" Yoon-suk's voice was deadly calm, the kind of calm that preceded violence. "Months, maybe longer." Isabella clicked to the next file. Financial records, bank accounts belonging to their people's families, children's medical histories, everything that could be used as leverage, Cole had found. Then came the video. Cole's face filled the screen, his smile cold and practiced. "Isabella, Yoon-suk, by now you've seen what I have. Every person you've ever cared about, every life you've touched, they're all mine now. I'm not interested in negotiation. I'm not interested in your empire or your money. I want you." Isabella felt Yoon-suk's fingers tighten on her shoulder. "You have 72 hours to surrender yourselves to me. Just you two. If you comply, everyone else lives. If you run, if you fight, if you try anything clever, I start killing them, one every 6 hours until you give up, and I'll start with the children." The video cut to surveillance footage, live footage, of Dimitri's twins sleeping in their beds. The timestamp read 30 minutes ago. "To prove I'm serious," Cole's voice continued over the image. The feed switched. A man Isabella recognized, Victor, one of their mid-level operators, was tied to a chair in an unknown location. The gunshot was sudden, brutal, final. Victor slumped forward, and the screen went black except for a countdown timer. 71:47:23. Isabella stood so fast her chair crashed backward. "Get everyone, now. War room in 10 minutes. The next hour was chaos wrapped in desperate strategy. Their inner circle gathered around the long table. Dimitri with his face pale and tight. Alexandre chain-smoking despite Isabella's usual no-smoking rule. Their best tactical minds throwing out plan after plan. Each one crumbled under scrutiny. "We can move everyone," Dimitri said, his voice shaking slightly. "Safe houses across 3 continents. He can't watch them all at once." "He doesn't need to watch them all," Alexandre countered, stubbing out his cigarette. "He just needs to find one. And he will. Look at this intelligence. He has resources we didn't know existed." "Then we go to war," one of their lieutenants suggested. "Full assault. Find Cole, end him before the deadline." Yoon-suk shook his head. "We don't know where he is. He's been ghost for 6 months. By the time we locate him, how many people die? 5, 10, 20? Isabella watched them spiral, these fierce and loyal people trying to solve an unsolvable equation. The math was simple and brutal. Too many targets, too little time, and an enemy who'd planned for every contingency. She'd been running the calculations in her head for the past hour, and every scenario ended the same way. "There's another option." Her voice cut through the arguing. Everyone fell silent. "We give him what he wants." "No." Yoon-suk's response was immediate, absolute. "Not happening. Not surrender." Isabella met his eyes. "We give him our deaths. The room erupted in protests, but she raised her hand. Listen, Cole doesn't want power or territory. He wants revenge. He wants us dead. So we die. You're talking about faking your deaths, Alexandra said slowly, understanding dawning. Going deep cover. Deeper than cover. We disappear completely. Stage deaths, bodies that can be identified. The whole performance. If Isabella and I are dead, there's no reason to kill anyone else. The leverage disappears. Dmitri leaned forward. And your empire? Isabella looked at Yunsuk, saw her own thoughts reflected in his dark eyes. They'd built this kingdom from blood and determination. Every brick of their power had been paid for in sacrifice. Walking away, even temporarily, felt like tearing out her own heart. But hearts could be replaced. Children couldn't. You take it, she said to Dmitri. Temporary stewardship until we return. Return? Alexandra's eyebrow rose. You're planning to come back? Once Cole is dead and buried, once the threat is neutralized, yes, we come back. This is our city, our empire. We're not abandoning it, we're protecting it the only way we can. Yunsuk's voice held absolute certainty. The plan came together with brutal efficiency over the next 24 hours. A car, rigged to explode on a remote coastal highway. 2 bodies, procured through channels Isabella didn't want to examine too closely, matching their approximate descriptions. Dmitri would be the one to identify them, his grief Oscar-worthy and entirely real in its own way. Alexandra would manage the immediate aftermath, keep the organization stable through the transition. But first came the hardest part. Goodbye without goodbye. Isabella stood in the community center she'd funded 3 years ago, watching the women she'd freed from trafficking laugh over coffee. Maria, who now ran a bakery. Jinne, studying for her law degree. Svetlana, teaching self-defense classes to teenagers. Each of them had been where Isabella once was, sold, used, considered disposable. She'd given them a way out, and they'd built lives worth living. You're quiet today, Maria said, approaching with a knowing smile. Something on your mind? Just thinking about how far you've all come. Isabella pulled Maria into a hug, holding on perhaps a moment too long. I'm so proud of you, all of you. We learned from the best. Maria pulled back, searching Isabella's face. Are you okay? You seem... I'm fine, just emotional. Isabella forced a smile. Keep being amazing, okay? Don't let anyone dim your light. She said similar words to each of them, her heart breaking with every hug, every smile, every promise she might not be able to keep. They didn't know these were goodbyes. They couldn't know. Yunsuk's farewell was different but equally devastating. He stood in the training room with his core team, men who'd followed him through hell and back. They were running drills, the familiar rhythm of combat practice filling the space. Again, Yunsuk ordered, watching 2 fighters spar. Tighter on the defense. Your left side is exposed. He corrected stances, adjusted techniques, gave the same guidance he'd given hundreds of times before. But today, he watched them differently, memorizing faces, voices, the way each man moved. These were his brothers. Leaving them felt like amputation. Boss? His second-in-command, Park, approached. You've been running us hard this week. Something we should know about? Just making sure you're ready for anything. Yunsuk gripped Park's shoulder. You're one of the best fighters I've ever trained. Don't forget that. And don't stop training the others. They need your leadership. Park frowned slightly. You sound like you're going somewhere. We're always going somewhere in this life. Yunsuk deflected. Just remember what I taught you. Protect each other. Look out for the weak. Strength without honor is just brutality. The hardest goodbye was to Dimitri's children. Isabella and Yoon-suk sat in Dimitri's living room, watching the twins, 6-year-old Alexei and Anya, play with blocks on the floor. Elena served tea with hands that trembled slightly. She knew something was happening, even if she didn't know what. "Aunt Bella, look." Anya held up a crooked tower. "I made it tall like your building." Isabella knelt beside her, helping stabilize the structure. "It's beautiful, sweetheart. You know what makes a building really strong? A good foundation. Remember that, okay? No matter how tall you build, the foundation matters most." "Are you going on a trip?" Alexei asked with the uncanny perception of children. "You feel like you're saying goodbye." "Just a short trip," Yoon-suk said, ruffling the boy's hair. "But your dad is going to take care of everything while we're gone. He's the strongest, smartest man I know. You listen to him, yeah?" "Will you bring us presents?" Anya asked. "The best presents," Isabella promised, her voice tight. "When we see you again, we'll bring you the whole world." After the children were in bed, they sat with Dimitri and Elena in tense silence. "I hate this," Dimitri finally said. "I hate that you're doing this. I hate that it's necessary." "We hate it too," Isabella admitted. "But your children sleep safely tonight because we're making this choice. That's what matters." "How long?" Elena asked quietly. 6 months, maybe less," Yoon-suk said. "We track Cole from hiding, end him permanently, then resurface." "And if something goes wrong," Dimitri's voice was rough, "then the Empire is yours. For real. All of it." Isabella reached across the table, gripping his hand. "But nothing will go wrong. We're coming back, Dimitri. I swear it." The night of the plan arrived, with rain hammering the streets of Seoul. Isabella and Yoon-suk drove toward the coast in silence, each lost in thoughts too heavy for words. The car, a duplicate of Yoon-suk's personal vehicle, handled smoothly despite the additional modifications hidden beneath its chassis. "Second thoughts?" Yoon-suk asked as they passed the city limits. "About saving everyone we love?" "No." Isabella stared out at the darkness. "About leaving our empire in the hands of fate? Every single second." "Dimitri will hold it. He's ready." "I know. That's not what worries me." She turned to face him, this man who'd gone from enemy to partner to everything. "What worries me is whether we'll still be us when this is over. Whether we can come back from being ordinary." Yoon-suk reached over, lacing his fingers through hers. "We could never be ordinary, Isabella. We could live in a cave and we'd still be who we are. Kings and queens don't stop being royalty just because they step away from the throne. Promise me something." Her grip tightened. "Promise me we come back. That we don't let this life, this fake death, become real. Promise me we reclaim what's ours. In this life or the next, in power or in hiding, I promise. We are coming back. This is temporary. Seoul is ours, and we will return to take it." His voice held the same steel that had built their empire. "This is strategic retreat, not surrender." They reached the location just before midnight. The cliff overlooking the ocean was deserted, exactly as planned. Alexandra waited with the team that would handle the technical aspects, the explosion, the fire, the aftermath that would fool even forensic investigators. "Bodies are in the trunk," Alexandra said quietly. "Perfect matches. Even the dental records will check out. Don't ask me how." "I won't." Isabella looked at the car that would become their funeral pyre. "And the timeline?" "Dimitri's already en route. He'll receive the emergency call in 45 minutes. Police will arrive in 53. By dawn, all of Seoul will know you're dead." Yoon-suk and Isabella transferred their personal effects. A watch, a ring, small items that would be found in the wreckage and identified as theirs. Each object felt like shedding a piece of identity. "Last chance to change your mind," Alexandra said, but his tone made it clear he knew they wouldn't. "Take care of them," Isabella said. "All of them. If Cole makes a move, he won't. Once you're dead, his leverage is gone. The bastard gets exactly what he wanted." Alexandra pulled her into a brief, fierce hug. "Come back to us. The city won't be the same without its queen." They watched from a safe distance as the car, with its tragic cargo, was positioned. The technical team worked with practiced efficiency. When the explosion came, it was massive, spectacular, exactly the kind of accident that would make headlines. Flames engulfed the vehicle, and Isabella felt something inside her ignite with it. The life she'd built, the power she'd claimed, all of it burning. "We're dead," Yoon-suk said softly, his arm around her shoulders as they watched their old lives turn to ash. "No," Isabella corrected, her jaw set with determination. "We're ghosts, and ghosts always come back to haunt what's theirs." The news broke like a tsunami across Seoul. By 6 a.m., every major outlet carried the story. Beloved power couple killed in tragic accident. By noon, the footage was everywhere. The burning wreckage, the covered bodies, Dimitri's devastated face as he emerged from the morgue. His performance was flawless, tears streaming as he told reporters that his closest friends, his leaders, were gone. Isabella and Yoon-suk watched it all from a safe house 200 miles away, surrounded by packed bags and false documents. Sophia Reyes and Dang Chen, their new identities, complete with backstories, work histories, even fabricated social media profiles going back years. "He's good," Yoon-suk murmured, watching Dimitri address the organization's leadership. "Look at how he's holding them together." "He has to be. Cole will be watching for any sign this is a setup." Isabella studied the screen intently. If anyone breaks character, if anyone seems too calm or too prepared. Her phone buzzed. A message from an encrypted number. "It's done. He bought it. Pulled back all surveillance on secondary targets. You're clear." Relief flooded through her, so intense it was almost painful. They're safe. Everyone's safe. Yoon-suk pulled her, close, and for the first time in 72 hours, she let herself breathe. The children would wake up tomorrow without crosshairs on their backs. Dimitri's family, Alexandra's daughter, all their people. They could live normal lives again. "Worth it," she whispered against his chest. "Every time," he agreed. They left Korea the next day on a cargo ship, hidden among legitimate freight. No planes, no passenger manifests, nothing that could be traced. The journey to Portugal took 3 weeks, and every day felt like peeling away another layer of who they'd been. By the time they reached the small coastal village of Tavira, Isabella barely recognized herself in the mirror. Gone were the designer clothes and perfect makeup. Sophia Reyes wore simple dresses and let her hair air dry. Dang Chen traded tailored suits for worn jeans and work boots. They rented a small cottage on the outskirts of town. Whitewashed walls, blue shutters, a garden overgrown with wildflowers. It was charming in a way that made Isabella's teeth ache. "We should plant vegetables," Yoon-suk said their first morning, standing in the garden with coffee. "It's what normal people do, right?" "I have no idea what normal people do." Isabella joined him, wrapping her arms around her middle. "I've never been normal." "Neither have I." He turned to face her. "We'll figure it out. How hard can it be?" The answer: extremely hard. Isabella took a job at a local art gallery, a converted warehouse filled with paintings by regional artists. Her boss, Senora Costa, was a cheerful woman in her 60s, who talked endlessly about her grandchildren and the village gossip. Isabella smiled and nodded and felt like an alien studying human customs. "You're very quiet, Sophia," Senora Costa observed one afternoon. "Is everything all right?" "Just adjusting," Isabella said, carefully arranging a display of ceramic pieces. "It's very different from Madrid." That was her cover story, fleeing an abusive ex-husband, starting fresh in Portugal. "Ah, you'll love it here. We're a close community. Everyone looks out for each other." Senora Costa patted her arm. "You and your husband should come to the festival this weekend. It'll help you meet people." The idea of small talk with villagers, of pretending to care about local festivals, made Isabella want to scream. But Sophia Reyes would be thrilled, so she smiled. "That sounds lovely." Yunsok fared slightly better. He took work as a private security consultant for wealthy expats in the region, work that kept him sharp and gave him access to information networks. But even he struggled with the monotony. "I fixed a fence today," he told Isabella over dinner one night. "An actual fence, with my hands, for a man who needed security cameras installed but first wanted his fence fixed." "How very domestic of you." Isabella pushed food around her plate, some kind of fish stew that was perfectly fine and utterly tasteless compared to what they used to eat. "I miss Seoul," he admitted. "I miss our penthouse. I miss making decisions that matter. I miss being who we are," she finished. "I know. Me too." They sat in silence, two predators in a cage of their own making. But slowly, grudgingly, they adapted. They learned to grocery shop, to make small talk with neighbors, to attend the village festivals where everyone danced and drank wine and celebrated nothing in particular. They learned to be Sophia and Dang, and some days Isabella almost forgot she was someone else entirely. Almost. At night, when the village slept, they trained. The cottage's basement became their dojo, their war room. Yunsok ran combat drills. Isabella practiced her aim with a silenced pistol. They monitored encrypted channels, tracking Cole's movements, waiting for the right moment to strike. "He's in Prague," Yunsok reported one night, 3 months into their exile. "Meeting with old Soviet contacts. He's rebuilding." "Good." Isabella studied the intelligence report. "Let him feel safe. Let him think we're really gone. When we move, it'll be his last surprise." 6 months, Yunsok reminded her. "That was our timeline. 3 more months, then we go after him." But fate had different plans. Isabella noticed the symptoms first. Exhaustion that didn't match her activity level, nausea that came in waves, a sensitivity to smells that made the gallery's paint fumes unbearable. She ignored it for 2 weeks before buying a pregnancy test from the pharmacy 3 villages over, where no one knew Sophia Reyes. The 2 pink lines appeared in seconds. She sat on the bathroom floor of their cottage, staring at the test, her mind reeling. A baby. She was pregnant. In the middle of hiding, in the middle of planning their return, in the middle of everything. A baby. When Yunsuk came home, she was still sitting there. "Isabella, what's wrong?" He dropped beside her, searching for injuries, for threats. Then he saw the test in her hands. "Is that positive?" Her voice sounded distant to her own ears. "I'm pregnant." The silence stretched between them, heavy with implications. This changed everything. Or did it? "Say something," she whispered. Yunsok took her hands, his grip strong and steady. "I'm going to be a father. We're in hiding. We're planning to assassinate someone. We're supposed to return to Seoul in 3 months. This is unexpected," he agreed, but not unwelcome. His hand moved to her still flat stomach. Our child, yours and mine. Are you insane? How do we bring a baby into this life, into any version of our life? Isabella felt panic rising. We rule a criminal empire, Yoon-suk. We kill people. We protect people, he corrected firmly. We've built something worth inheriting. And yes, we'll go back to it. But first, we keep you both safe. We can't delay the timeline. Cole can wait. Your health, the baby's health, that comes first. We have time. His certainty steadied her spiraling thoughts. We'll adjust the plan. 4 months instead of 3. We let you get through the first trimester, then we move. Isabella wanted to argue, but exhaustion pulled at her. Our child is going to inherit an empire, she said finally. That's not a normal childhood. Nothing about us has ever been normal. Yoon-suk pressed his forehead to hers. But our child will be loved, protected, and powerful. We'll make sure of it. That night, lying in bed with Yoon-suk's hand on her stomach, Isabella let herself imagine it. A daughter, she was certain it would be a daughter, with her father's determination and her mother's fire. Raised in the penthouse overlooking Seoul, trained to lead, to fight, to rule. An heir to everything they'd built. But first, they had to survive to give her that empire. The months passed with agonizing slowness. Isabella's body changed, her pregnancy becoming visible despite loose clothing. Senora Costa clucked with delight, insisting Sophia sit more, rest more, eat more. The village women surrounded her with advice and hand-knitted baby clothes. It was suffocating and touching in equal measure. They think we're normal, Isabella mused one evening, folding tiny clothes that strangers had made for her child. They have no idea who we really are. Maybe that's better, Yoon-suk said. Let them think we're just Sophia and Dang, 2 people trying to build a quiet life. But we're not. Isabella looked up at him. We're Isabella and Yoon-suk. We're the king and queen of Seoul, and in 2 months, we're going home. Yoon-suk nodded slowly. 2 months. Then we end Cole, announce our survival, and reclaim everything. But at 5 months pregnant, everything changed again. Isabella was closing the gallery when she noticed the car. Black sedan, tinted windows, parked in the same spot for 3 days running. Her instincts, dulled by months of playing normal, suddenly screamed danger. She texted Yoon-suk one word: trouble. He was there in minutes, cataloging the same details she had. The car, the subtle surveillance, the feeling of being watched. How long? He asked. 3 days that I've noticed. Could be longer. They went home, moving casually, 2 ordinary people finishing their ordinary day. But once inside, they activated their emergency protocols. Security cameras hidden around the property revealed what they'd feared. Multiple surveillance points, professionally placed, watching their cottage. And something else. A tracking device, tucked under Yoon-suk's work truck's wheel well. He knows, Isabella breathed. Cole knows we're alive. Yoon-suk's face hardened into the mask she recognized. The warrior, the killer, the man who'd built an empire on calculated violence. Then we stop hiding. They worked through the night, gathering intelligence, tracking the surveillance team. By dawn, they had confirmation. Cole's people, 4 operatives, watching and waiting for orders. The encrypted message arrived at noon. Found them. Moving in 48 hours, sending coordinates. Isabella read it twice, her hand unconsciously moving to her stomach. He's coming. Good. Yoon-suk began checking weapons, his movements efficient and deadly. Let him come. We end this here. I'm 5 months pregnant. I know. He looked at her, and she saw zero doubt in his eyes. "And you're still the most dangerous woman I've ever known. We fight together. We win together. Then we go home together." Isabella felt something shift inside her, not the baby, but something deeper. The last hesitation, the last pretense of normal. Sophia Reyes evaporated. Isabella, queen of Seoul's underworld, pregnant but unbroken, rose to take her place. "Then let's give Cole exactly what he wants." Her smile was sharp enough to cut. "One last meeting, and this time, we make sure he never gets up again." They had 48 hours to prepare, and they used every second. The cottage transformed from a cozy refuge into a fortress. Yoon-suk reinforced entry points, set traps in the garden, positioned weapons in strategic locations. Isabella mapped escape routes and communication dead zones, her tactical mind sharp despite the exhaustion that came with pregnancy. 8 operatives, Yoon-suk reported, studying thermal imaging from their hidden cameras. "Cole's bringing his best. He's not taking chances." "Neither are we." Isabella loaded a pistol with practiced ease, the weight familiar and comforting in her hand. "We draw them away from the village, the lighthouse." The abandoned lighthouse stood on the cliffs 2 miles from town, isolated, defensible, with clear sight lines and multiple exit points. Perfect killing ground. "You shouldn't be doing this," Yoon-suk said, not for the first time. "You're pregnant. Let me handle them, you stay hidden." "We've had this argument 6 times today." Isabella's voice was steel. "I'm not sitting in a safe house while you fight our battle. We're in this together. Always." He studied her face, seeing the determination that first made him fall in love with her. "You're sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything." She checked her ammunition. "Besides, pregnancy doesn't make me fragile. It makes me more dangerous. I'm fighting for 2 now." The day Cole's team arrived, Isabella and Yoon-suk were ready. They'd left obvious trails, Sophia and Dang making panicked preparations to flee, packing bags, acting scared. The surveillance team reported it all, exactly as planned. "They think we're rabbits," Isabella murmured, watching the operatives move into position around their cottage, about to bolt. "Let them think that." Yoon-suk's hand found hers in the darkness. "Until we show them what rabbits do when cornered." They slipped out through the basement tunnel they dug over 3 months, paranoia paying dividends. By the time Cole's team breached the cottage, finding it empty except for decoy heat signatures and timed explosives, Isabella and Yoon-suk were already at the lighthouse. "They'll be angry now," Isabella said, positioning herself on the upper level with a rifle. "Angry people make mistakes." "Good." Yoon-suk took the ground level, close quarters combat his specialty. "Let them come angry." The first operatives arrived within 20 minutes, moving fast and furious. 3 men, tactical gear, professional but sloppy with rage. They'd been deceived, and it showed. Yoon-suk let them enter the lighthouse before striking. The first man went down with a knife to the throat, silent and quick. The second managed a shout before Yoon-suk broke his neck. The third got his gun up, squeezing off 2 shots that went wild before Isabella's rifle shot took him through the shoulder, and Yoon-suk finished him. 3 down, 5 to go. "They know we're here now," Isabella called down, already repositioning. "They'll come tactical." She was right. The next wave coordinated their approach, 2 scaling the outside while 3 created a frontal assault. Military precision, the kind that came from serious training. Isabella tracked the climbers through her scope, her breathing steady despite her elevated heart rate. She'd trained pregnant, adjusted for the shift in her center of gravity, the way her body moved differently now. The first climber reached a window. Her shot took him in the chest, and he fell 40 feet to the rocks below. The second climber was faster, smarter. He made it inside on the opposite side, and Isabella heard the firefight below, Yoon-sok engaging the frontal assault while dealing with the new threat. She abandoned her position, moving down the spiral stairs with her pistol drawn. The cottage had made her soft. Months of playing normal had dulled her edges, but adrenaline and necessity sharpened them again. She rounded the corner to find the climber flanking Yoon-sok, who was pinned down by the three-man assault. Isabella's first shot hit the climber's leg. Her second hit his gun arm. He dropped, screaming, and Yoon-sok used the distraction to take down another attacker. 2 on 2 now. The remaining operatives retreated, regrouping outside. Isabella and Yoon-sok used the lull to reload, check injuries, minor cuts, nothing serious, and reassess. Cole will come himself now, Yoon-sok said, his voice calm despite the violence. We've taken out most of his team. His ego won't let anyone else finish this. That's what we want. Isabella winced as the baby kicked, hard. Even their child was ready for a fight. We end him tonight, or we spend the rest of our lives running. We're not running, not anymore. Yoon-sok pulled her close for a brief moment, his hand on her stomach. Our daughter deserves better than parents in hiding. The words hung between them. Our daughter. The first time either had voiced the certainty, not just a child, but a girl, their heir. She's going to be a queen, Isabella whispered, like her mother. Like her mother, Yoon-sok agreed, but first we clear the path for her. Cole arrived with the dawn, theatrical as always. He came alone, the last 2 operatives flanking him at a distance. He wanted this personal, wanted to face them himself. Isabella, Yoon-seok. His voice echoed across the lighthouse grounds. I have to admit, I'm impressed. The fake deaths, the hiding, almost worked. But you can't hide from me. You should know that by now. Isabella stepped into view on the lighthouse balcony, rifle slung across her back, hands visible and empty. Yoon-sok emerged from the ground entrance, similarly armed but non-threatening in posture. Cole, Isabella called down. You went through a lot of trouble to find us. You killed 6 of my best men. Cole smiled, but his eyes were cold. I'm going to enjoy this. You were never going to let anyone live, were you? Yoon-sok's voice carried clearly. Even if we'd surrendered, you would have killed them all anyway. Of course. Cole shrugged. But at least they would have died knowing you tried. Now they'll die knowing you chose to hide like cowards. They won't die at all, Isabella said, because you're not leaving here alive. Cole laughed, genuine amusement in the sound. You're outnumbered, exhausted, and unless I'm mistaken... His eyes narrowed, focusing on Isabella's silhouette. You're pregnant. How far along? 5 months? 6? Did you really think you could fight me in your condition? My condition makes me more dangerous, not less. Isabella's voice was pure ice. I'm fighting for her future now. There's nothing more dangerous than a mother protecting her child. Touching. Cole drew his weapon. Your daughter will grow up an orphan. Maybe I'll even raise her myself. Teach her what real power looks like. The words were a tactical error. Yoon-sok moved first, closing the distance faster than should have been possible. Cole's remaining operatives opened fire, but Yoon-sok was already in motion, using cover, using angles. Isabella provided support fire from above, precise shots that kept the operatives pinned. Cole was good, better than his men, trained by the same brutal system that had forged Isabella and Yoon-sok. The fight was vicious and close, all 3 of them locked in a deadly dance that had been years in the making. Isabella descended, unable to stay out of it, her pregnancy making her slower but more focused. Every movement counted. Every shot had to land. She couldn't afford mistakes. One operative went down to Yoon-suk's blade, the other to Isabella's bullet. Then it was three, Isabella, Yoon-suk, and Cole, circling in the lighthouse's shadow. "You gave up everything for them," Cole panted, blood streaming from a cut above his eye. "Your empire, your power, your identity, and for what? They would have survived without you." "That's the difference between us," Isabella said, breathing hard, one hand unconsciously protective over her stomach. "You think power is something you hold on to. We know it's something you build. We can always rebuild. But the people we love, they're irreplaceable." "Sentimental garbage." Cole lunged, and the fight resumed. It was brutal. Close quarters, no room for error, three fighters who knew each other's styles too well. Cole landed a hit that sent Isabella staggering. Yoon-suk took a knife wound to his side. But they fought as they always had, as one unit, anticipating each other's moves, covering weaknesses, amplifying strengths. The pregnancy changed Isabella's fighting style, made her more defensive, but also more creative. She used Cole's aggression against him, let him overextend, let his hatred make him sloppy. When he came for her, really committed to a killing blow, Yoon-suk was there. When he turned on Yoon-suk, Isabella struck. The final blow came from both of them. Isabella's knife in Cole's side, Yoon-suk's in his chest. They struck simultaneously, perfectly synchronized, and Cole's eyes widened in disbelief. "You can't," he gasped, blood bubbling at his lips. "You can't win. You gave up everything." "We gave up nothing." Isabella twisted her knife. "We made a strategic retreat. Now we're going home." "Home?" Cole laughed wetly, dying but defiant. "You think you can go back? You're dead. Everyone thinks you're dead. You'll never—" "Watch us." Yoon-suk's voice was final. He drove his blade deeper, and Cole's words cut off in a choking gurgle. They stood over his body as the sun rose fully, painting the lighthouse and the ocean in shades of gold and red. Isabella's hands shook now that the adrenaline was fading. Yoon-suk pulled her close, and they stood together, bloodied but alive. "It's over," she whispered. "It's over," he confirmed. "He's gone. The threat is gone. Everyone is safe." They handled the cleanup themselves. Years of practice made it efficient. Cole's body and those of his operatives would never be found. By noon, it was as if the battle had never happened. Back at the cottage, they showered, tended wounds, and sat in exhausted silence. Isabella's phone buzzed. Encrypted message from Dmitri. Heard through channels, Cole went dark. "Permanently?" She typed back. "Permanently. It's done." The response came quickly. "Come home, please. The Empire needs you. Seoul needs you." Isabella showed Yoon-suk the message. Their eyes met, and entire conversations passed in that look. They could stay. Continue being Sophia and Dang. Raise their daughter in this quiet village, away from violence and power and all the complications of their real lives. If you're still watching, hit that like button, because what comes next is going to change everything. And comment below. Do you think they should return to power or stay hidden? Your answer might surprise you. But even as the thought formed, Isabella knew it was impossible. They weren't Sophia and Dang. They never had been. That was just a mask, a temporary shield. Underneath, they were always Isabella and Yoon-suk, king and queen of Seoul's underworld. "We're going home," Isabella said, her hand on her stomach. "Our daughter deserves to inherit an empire, not hide from one." Yoon-suk's smile was fierce and proud. "Then let's go reclaim our throne." The resurrection of Isabella and Yoon-suk was planned with the same precision as their deaths had been. They couldn't simply walk back into Seoul and announce their survival. That would invite questions, investigations, chaos. They needed a narrative, a controlled reveal that would consolidate power rather than fracture it. "We stage it at the annual memorial," Yoon-suk suggested, studying the calendar. Their death anniversary was 3 weeks away. "Dimitri's planning something public. We appear then, in front of everyone." Isabella nodded, her mind already working through the logistics. At 6 months pregnant now, her body had become a constant reminder of what they were fighting to protect. "It needs to feel inevitable, like we were always going to come back." They spent 2 weeks traveling back through the same shadows they'd used to leave. No planes, no trains, just careful movement through networks of loyal contacts who ask no questions. By the time they reached the outskirts of Seoul, the city felt like a foreign country and home simultaneously. The night before the memorial, they met Dmitri in a private location. His face when he saw them, alive, whole, Isabella visibly pregnant, cycled through shock, relief, and joy in rapid succession. "You're really here," he breathed, pulling them both into a fierce embrace. "I kept the faith, but some days, we promised we'd come back." Isabella stepped back, letting him see her fully. "And we keep our promises. A baby." Dimitri's eyes went to her stomach. "You're having a baby." "A daughter," Yoon-suk confirmed. "The next generation." They spent hours briefing Dmitri on everything: Cole's death, the months in hiding, the pregnancy. He listened, absorbing it all, then gave his own report. The empire had held, barely. There had been challenges, power plays from rivals who sensed weakness, but the core remained strong, waiting for their return. "Tomorrow will change everything," Dmitri said finally. "Are you ready for that? The questions, the speculation, the inevitable investigations?" "We have our story." Isabella's voice was steady. "We were taken by Cole, held prisoner, managed to escape and kill him. We've been in hiding, recovering, until it was safe to return. Simple, clean, mostly true." "And the pregnancy?" "Happened in captivity." She met his eyes. "People will speculate. Let them. The only truth that matters is that we're back, we're alive, and Seoul is ours again." The memorial service was held at the waterfront, where their supposed accident had occurred. Hundreds attended, their organization's members, rival faction representatives, politicians, business leaders. The great and terrible of Seoul's underworld gathered to pay respects to fallen kings. Isabella and Yoon-suk watched from a hidden vantage point as Dmitri gave a speech about legacy and loss. The crowd was somber, genuine in their grief. Some of these people had truly mourned them. "Now?" Yoon-suk asked quietly. "Now?" Isabella adjusted her coat. Designer again, chosen to emphasize rather than hide her pregnancy. Statement clothing for a statement return. They walked through the crowd together, and the reaction was immediate. Heads turned, voices died. Disbelief rippled outward like a shockwave. Dmitri, on stage, let his carefully prepared speech fall away into genuine emotion. "My friends," he said, his voice breaking perfectly. "My family. They've come home." The silence lasted 3 heartbeats. Then chaos erupted. Questions shouting, people pushing forward, cameras flashing. Security moved to control the crowd, but Isabella raised her hand, and somehow, impossibly, everyone quieted. "We were taken," she said, her voice carrying across the waterfront. "Held captive by enemies who wanted to destroy everything we built. They staged our deaths, kept us prisoner, tortured us, but we survived. We escaped. We killed every single person who thought they could break us. It was theater, controlled, powerful theater. Every word chosen for impact, for narrative control. And now we're home. Yoon-suk's voice joined hers. Seoul is our city. It's always been our city. We left to protect the people we love. We return to reclaim what's ours. The crowd exploded into applause. Relief, joy, fear, calculation all mixed together. They were back. The king and queen had returned from the dead. The next weeks were a whirlwind of consolidation. Meetings with lieutenants, enforcement of loyalty, elimination of those who'd grown too ambitious in their absence. Isabella and Yoon-suk moved through it all with ruthless efficiency, pregnant belly and healing wounds notwithstanding. You should rest, Yoon-suk told her one night, finding her in their penthouse office at 2 a.m., reviewing financial reports. I'll rest when everything is secure. But she let him pull her away from the desk, guide her to the couch. We're close. Another week, maybe 2. The doctor said, I know what the doctor said. Isabella's hand moved to her stomach, feeling their daughter move. But she's fine. We're fine. And our empire comes first. You come first, he corrected firmly. Both of you. The empire is meaningless if... The empire is everything. Isabella met his eyes. It's what we are. It's what we're building for her. I won't slow down because I'm pregnant. That's not who we are. He studied her face, fierce, determined, unyielding, and fell in love with her all over again. 7 months. Then you take leave. 7.5, she negotiated, and I'm still running strategy from the hospital bed if necessary. They compromised on 7 months, 2 weeks. Isabella worked until the day her water broke, literally in the middle of a meeting with weapons suppliers who watched in horror as she calmly finished negotiating terms before allowing Yoon-suk to rush her to the hospital. Their daughter was born at 3:47 a.m., the same time their death message had arrived months before. Cosmic symmetry. She came into the world screaming, furious, ready to fight, exactly like her mother. She's perfect, Isabella whispered, holding the tiny, fierce creature. She's absolutely perfect. Yoon-suk touched his daughter's hand, watching her grip his finger with surprising strength. What do we call her? They'd discussed names for months, unable to agree. But looking at her now, Isabella knew. Nari. It means lily in Korean, beautiful but fierce, and Maria for the woman who gave me hope when I had none. Nari Maria, Yoon-suk tested the name. Queen of Seoul one day. Queen of everything, Isabella corrected. The world is hers, if she wants it. The recovery period lasted exactly 1 week before Isabella was back in the office, Nari sleeping in a bassinet nearby while her mother ran an empire. People said it was too soon, that she should rest, that she was pushing too hard. Isabella ignored them all. She'd given birth to a daughter and an empire. Both needed her attention, her strength, her absolute refusal to be anything less than she was. The world tried to make her choose, mother or queen. Isabella rejected the binary. She would be both, perfectly, ruthlessly, completely. At 3 months old, Nari attended her first board meeting, sleeping peacefully through discussions of territory disputes and revenue streams. At 6 months, she was crawling through the penthouse while her parents planned tactical operations. At 1 year, she took her first steps in the same office where her parents had once been enemies turned partners. She's going to be formidable, Dmitri observed, watching Nari grab a pen and immediately try to draw on important documents. She already is, Isabella said with pride. She's ours. Seoul had never seen anything like them. A couple who'd died and returned, who'd sacrificed everything and reclaimed it all, who ruled with an iron fist while raising a child who gurgled and played and was somehow already being groomed to inherit an empire. On Nari's second birthday, they threw a party that was half children's celebration, half demonstration of power. Business leaders and crime lords mingled with toddlers and balloons. The message was clear. This family was untouchable, eternal, inevitable. "Do you ever regret it?" Yoon-sok asked Isabella that night, after the guests had left and Nari was finally asleep. "The choice we made? Everything we gave up to protect them." Isabella looked around their penthouse, the city lights below, their sleeping daughter in the next room, the empire they'd built and rebuilt spreading out beneath them like a kingdom. She thought of those months in hiding, of being Sophia Reyes, of almost having a different life. "Not for a second," she said finally. "We did what we had to do. We protected everyone we love, and now look at us. We have everything: power, family, legacy. Our daughter will never have to choose between strength and love. She'll have both." Yoon-sok pulled her close, and they stood together as they always had, partners, equals, rulers of everything they surveyed. "Seoul is ours," Isabella whispered. "Forever," Yoon-sok agreed. And in the next room, Nari slept peacefully, dreaming whatever dreams the heir to an empire dreams, already marked by destiny and blood and power beyond measure. The king and queen of Seoul's underworld had returned from the dead. They'd sacrificed everything for love and reclaimed everything through strength. And their daughter, fierce, beautiful, inevitable, would inherit a world her parents had fought to give her. Some stories end with happily ever after. This one ended with power, consolidated and absolute. And that was better than any fairy tale. Thanks for watching. If you love this epic story of sacrifice and power, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. Drop a comment telling me, what would you sacrifice for the people you love? And check out the next video, where we explore what happens when Nari grows up and faces her own impossible choices. See you there.